Hey, what's going on, everyone? It's Ricky Ventures and Marlon Madden, and we are back with you for another episode of the Success Journey Show. What's going on, bro? How you doing today, man?
Um, Transparency. Before I say that, let me say I'm doing well.
Yeah,
How are you doing?
I'm doing well, man. So let me go into my no, I'm joking.
Let me tell you about my thing.
Yeah, yeah.
So Ricky and I have some business deals. Real estate, and everybody now interest rates. It did come down a little, but people are still, oh my gosh, it's 7, it's 6.5, and everything like that. Let me put some things in perspective for you guys. I bought my first house 2005. 2005, I got a 6.5 interest rate, and that was a great interest rate, right? So there are people that were getting higher because I did the FHA, all that kind of stuff. So anyway, so that's to put that in perspective. But let me tell you like I said, this is my hypothesis. I put the disclaimer out there. So if you go and make any kind of move based off of what I'm saying, that you can't come back and sue me. I'm not an expert. This is my hypothesis. What's happening is there's a pipeline of people that were, just to tell you why I'm saying this, I've had two people on one house that have dropped um, from their contract had to be boom because they couldn't get a loan. Now they had a pre-approval because they're in the pipeline when the interest rate was probably at 3.54 going into 5. Now that it's gone up to 7, their debt to income ratio, right, cannot sustain their need, or the underwriter says, we can't give you this loan because your debt to income ratio doesn't suffice for the interest rate it's at right now. So I just feel like there has to be a pipeline. That pipeline is going to get cleared with these people that were in there. And once those people get funneled through the pipeline, the people that's actually going to go back and they'll get the pre-approval, and pre-approval will stick because they have the docs needed to
Correct.
obtain that loan at 6.57, 7.58, whatever they get.
Yeah.
So that's been my day today. I got shot in the face twice. Like, this person dropped. Oh, you got another person. They put in an offer. Hey, we want to see their pre-approval. Yes, their pre-approval is good. They went back to the underwriter, and then by the end of the day, they're like, hey, the underwriter said they can't um give them a loan
Yeah.
based off new numbers.
And you know what? Just to be like more talking about full transparency, we was walking through, we had a meeting today, and we are talking through all this stuff, and I'm just listening. I'm listening. Some things I'm catching on to, and things I'm like, oh man, I gotta go back and research that and everything. But I would tell you this, right? And I was trying to derive where it's coming from, but there's a sense of peace. And it may have been the last episode where our guest was talking about the ebbs and flows and how you ride them, right? Um, and I started getting a little bit excited. And the reason why I started getting excited is because if I look back at 2008 and or 2000 between 2008 and 2010, all the problems that people were having in the real estate area. Not saying they were exact same problems, but there were problems and people were trying to figure
Correct.
it out. You know, you're like, we're at that next point of problems and people trying to figure it out. I'm like, oh
Correct.
shoot, this is cool. This is good because I know for 3, 4, 5 years from now, it's going to be like, oh, as long as you sustain, as long as you stay in it, as long as you whatchamacallit, that you're going to reap some major benefits from it. So I'm like, okay,
Correct.
good. I'm at a point where there's problems again, right? I'm at a point where there's issues coming up where you try to resolve it. But the thing about us is just that resiliency, and even though it may be heartbreaking at the moment and whatever it may be, and it's like, oh man, but at the same time, it's like you look at the history, and that's what this show is about. Like success journey, we're giving you journeys of people so it can add to your story, so that you can get a little bit more perspective as to where you are currently right now. Like, oh man, that person, yeah, he went through this like 10, 15 years ago. Man, I'm going through it right now. So if I just stick with it, maybe 10, 15 years from now, I'm gonna be where that person is, right? Because I endured through it. So I'm seeing problems like that on all faces, and it's not saying that it's easy because it's definitely not, but
Yep.
you definitely do have that assurance on there if you persevere, right?
Correct.
If you work through it, and my sons and I, we were going through what it was going through a devotional, and the devotional said, oh, come on, right when I need to get something, it's asking me to rate the
Wait, something that you're looking
yeah, I
at.
want to rate this thing. Um, okay, yeah. So the devotional said this. It says, it was devotional was about, hey, run your race, right? Run your race, like keys to success. Run your race, and it says this verse describes. Let me read the actual verse. So the Bible verse says, "Let us lay aside every weight and the sin which so easily ensnares us, and let us run with endurance the race that is set before us." Hebrews 12, 1. And the breakdown of it said, hey, this verse describes how to run and why to run. It said, let's face it, the whole reason for running in a race is to win. Thankfully, the Bible gives us instructions on how to do it. 1, lay aside sin. 2, endure. 3, be temperate, moderate, and not extreme or excessive. 4, keep your eyes on the big picture. 5, ask God to show you places where some of these things may be hindering you. And I was like, so he goes, hey, don't let troubles, failures, fears, or sin stand in your way of fulfilling your divine purpose and gaining your reward in heaven. I'm like, oh, so if I take, no matter what I'm taking, if I take those 5 things and I apply it, I'm like, you're good. You're gonna win. You're gonna win. You're
Yeah,
gonna win. It's not. It's
you're
not a
gonna win.
prescription to just run. You're this prescription to win the race. So yeah, man, I'm excited. And it's you know, it feels good. At the same time, it's a little painful, but it feels good. Just going through the ups and downs of everything. But hey, I just want to encourage you guys out there, like, just keep pushing. Just keep pushing.
Keep pushing.
Keep pushing.
Dream, drive, discipline, diligence.
Yes, yes. Quad
Quad
D.
D's.
Quad Ds. But hey, guys, man, we're going to jump into our next segment.
Welcome to the Success Journey Show. Let's travel together through the lives of individuals on the road to success.
Hello, travelers. We are back, man, to our favorite segment of the show. Part of the show where we interview a guest. Man, this is our favorite part. I tell you guys every week, this is our favorite part of the show because we too get to learn and get introduced to someone else that's on this journey to success as we are. So you guys stay tuned, buckle up, get your pencils out, pens out, whatever it is you got to do to write some notes, because we're going to have a great time. And today we're going to welcome none other than Aaron Anderson. Aaron, what's going on, bro? How you doing today?
Yeah, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on the show. It's a pleasure.
Oh, no
It's
problem.
our pleasure, man. It's an honor to have you on, man. Really looking forward to diving into your story. Why don't you just start off this episode or this interview with, sharing a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Yeah, I never know, how far back to start. I like to get into details, but
Man, start from the crib, man. Start from the crib. I got you.
Well, I start walking out 2 months old.
Yeah, I'll give you the kind of the most recent history is, for the last 10 years, I've kind of been involved in this online SEO space. I really wanted to get into it because I wanted to be able to work from anywhere. I started out by offering to work for free to some consultants and was able to kind of get my way in there. And, now the last 4 years, I started an agency specifically about link building. And I've been doing that for the last 5 years, and it's been great working online. We did the digital nomad thing for a while, where me, my wife, and our oldest, we visited over 40 countries together. We did the jumping around, living in a different country every month kind of thing. So that's some of the most recent things that have been happening for me.
Oh, dude, we got to dive into that because that sounds
It's like,
amazing. Sounds amazing. What I'm going to ask you to go back right prior to that, man. What made you shift into this SEO space and really wanting to go do a deep dive and build a whole lifestyle around that?
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, I think I had an interest kind of in business ever since my first semester in college. I thought I was going to do pre-med, and then had that, you had the biology class.
I was going to say, was it bio or chem? Which one was it? Was it chem or bio?
It was biology that convinced me. No, I was like, I like fitness, I like health, but biology, I want just more applicable, health type knowledge. I like that, but I was like, I can't study this biology. So yeah, so that led me more into business. And, I had an older brother that pushed me to kind of read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and, some of these books that kind of, got me thinking along that way. So that kind of got me interested in business. But then when I graduated college, I didn't know what I necessarily wanted to do. I did door-to-door sales in college and had done well with that, but I didn't necessarily want to do that. So that led me to kind of, get my first job and quit after 2 months, and then try 10 different things, and it kept if it wasn't a fit, I just quit it and try something else. And then I decided I was going to be a blogger, and I launched this website called Grad to Nomad. And my idea was that I was going to hitchhike around the country. Just and I was getting a little frustrated trying to figure out what to do, because I was like, I'm sick of reading things online. Like when you graduate college and you don't have experience. And I'm like, how do you get that experience? And I was like, when I knocked doors, I would meet so many interesting people and I would get job offers. And I was like, I just want to go out and meet people and see and just get experience. And I was like, so I'm just going to hitchhike, and I'm going to, and I'll use this as a way to kind of learn all these things. And, that was kind of the grand idea. And I had a website, even got covered in some news articles and stuff. I had this site on my place on my site that said, invite me over. And I got all these invitations from people. They were like, oh, you could come work in minor league baseball. Come here. People were inviting me. So it was cool. But then I had an opportunity to work. My uncle offered me a job to go to Vegas and kind of work with their company and kind of take that and grow that. They're kind of opening a new business. And then I got into real estate. So I did kind of all these things. And then, after this, I was like, what I really want to do is I want to be able to work online and, just be able to kind of have the freedom to kind of travel freely. So that kind of pushed me. I had done some things at my one job to kind of start generating leads online and whatnot. But that really pushed me to kind of seek out this opportunity to reach out to SEO consultants and say, hey, I'm willing to work for free. I just want to learn. And, I had a couple of weird experiences, but eventually I connected with somebody that said, yeah, let's work together. And then we started working together, and he liked working with me, and then he paid me, and then we became partners later on. So
from there.
Yeah, wow. that was kind of a lot of random things in there. But.
No, it's good.
Oh, no, that's beautiful. You gave us so much to talk about. My mind is just going wild. What year hitchhiking? What year was this?
So I graduated college in 2009.
Okay, 2009. So you remember one time back in the day? I don't know if you remember. You had people that stood at the side of the road, put their thumbs up, and you'd hear about somebody hitchhiked from New York to California. And that was like a normal thing. So there wasn't, but in 2009, I don't know if that was such a grand idea anymore. So how was your level of security when you're thinking about, I'm going to go hitchhike and just go to different places?
Well, I was working, one of the many jobs that I had during this time, I was working a phone sales job where we'd upsell these customers that had purchased a coaching program. And one of the other salespeople, he had just gotten back from this kind of adventure. And he said he started at the Coliseum at USC. Okay. And he hitchhiked. Him and a buddy, their plan was like, we're going to start here with no money. And we're going to get here from here all the way to the Colosseum in Rome, Italy. So go from Colosseum to Colosseum with no money. And so he had these like just such cool experiences where he's like, oh yeah, then I stopped and then I was working for this guy on this farm, and then I earned enough money and I, booked a ticket here. And then he's like, and then when I got to Europe, I was like just living in a hostel, like folding beds, for just to, and he's like, and then some guys that were traveling through Europe just gave me their car because they'd bought a car to travel. And so he's just like telling me all these experiences. And I was like, oh, that sounds so cool. Like, I want to do something like that. So that was like, it was like motivation. I was like, that sounds amazing. And like just all the experiences you could have. So I was excited to do that. But I'd also like, I was pretty strategic about it too. I wasn't just like, oh, I'm just going to try this. Like, I lived in Utah at the time. That's where I went to school. And I decided to do a 2-week beta test. And what I did, I said, go for 2 weeks. I'm not going to use my car. I'm just going to get around, see if I can get to work and everything, like with hitchhiking and whatever. And I had a friend that was into the hitchhiking. He's like, oh yeah, you don't put your thumb out. You just walk right in front of a car and like ask them to stop, and then you just go up to the window and say, oh, hey, I need to go this way. Do you think I can get a ride? And in Utah, this worked great. People in Utah, if you've never been, they're very, very trusting, very friendly. It was like a very easy place. Once I started later, it was in Arizona, and I tried the same thing, going to people at the gas station and say, oh, hey, and I just walk up to a guy and say, hey, I don't have any money, like wouldn't even let me ask the question. So yeah, the friendliness of the people definitely varies from location to location.
They say, don't try that in New York. They'll keep going. They'll keep going.
They'll run you over. You'd be like, oh.
Yeah. So, I mean, I kind of got the moral of it. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounded like your uncle tracked you down and said, hey, Aaron, get on over here to Las Vegas. No, not Las Vegas. Was it Las Vegas?
Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Vegas.
Yeah, get on over here to Las Vegas. I got something for you to do. I'm not going to have my nephew out there trying to wave down vehicles. Let's go. Let's get to work, man. I got something for you to do.
Yeah, something like that. It's because I was always posting and blogging, and all my relatives are probably like, "What's going on with Aaron? What's he doing?" And like,
did he graduate from college? What is Aaron doing?
What's this hitchhiking thing? And when we got covered in a news story, I read all the hater comments like, "Oh, this entitled little kid, he thinks life's gonna be easy. He can't keep a job for more than a month." It's just all this, piling on me. And but experience, no matter what you do, when you gain experience, it gives you perspective. And I learned a lot from that experience, even though I kind of felt like I kind of gave up on it. But I had specified some criteria. I was like, I wanted to live someplace where it doesn't snow. I wanted something that was kind of entrepreneurial in nature, and I wanted something that was like where I could earn compensation based on my efforts. It wasn't like a salary. I wanted something like and then my uncle, the job they had, it fit the criteria that I was looking for, and it felt like a good fit. And so I was like, even though I had only been homeless like 2 or 3 days, I was like, well, like I kind of feel like I'm giving up, but I'll just go there. I'll try it for a month, and we'll see kind of how it works out. So.
Oh man, no, that's what's up, man.
So you said you read Rich Dad Poor Dad. How did that change your perspective on? You said your brother gave you those books, right? And how did that change your perspective? If that was the book, that's the one that you mentioned. So I know he gave you others, but how did Rich Dad Poor Dad change your perspective on business or entrepreneurship or ownership or what? However you took it.
Sure. I mean, I had always been like very frugal and had never like really wanted to spend my money and things. And I had thought like, I want to. I had met someone that I knew that was like a chiropractor and worked like 3 days a week. And I was like, oh, like I always kind of wanted like a good work-life balance and some of these things, but I didn't necessarily have goals about how that would get there. I would just think, like a lot of people, like, oh, I want to be a doctor. I want to, so I just want to make a lot of money or something. And so, I think that, when listening to that and kind of seeing that, some of these things like, oh, you need to earn a business and then take the money from business, invest in some of these things that kind of changed my perspective too of the typical path of going to college. And it actually didn't encourage me very much to do college, because then I started wondering like, well, is college even worth it? Mm-hmm. And then every semester of college, I was like, should I just quit college? Like, am I getting anything out of college? I was a good student, so I decided basically as long as tuition is free, I'll keep going. But if I ever lose academic scholarships, then I'll just quit. But I was able to keep academic scholarship through my 4 years. So I ended up just sticking it out. But it was something that kind of, I was always like, is this worth it? I know I'm not going to need I'm not going to use my degree, and I never really have. But it did kind of change my perspective, because before I was a very good student, I always thought like, you go get do the more typical path was kind of what I had in my mind. And it definitely changed and opened me up to different possibilities.
Love it, love it, love it. So you got into the SEO world. Now that's that's not like something you just sit down real quick and say, "Oh, this is what I want to do." And I've dabbled at it multiple times, and every time it's like, I do not have the patience to figure this thing out. Like I need the cheat sheet, I need the cheat code, or someone else come do this for me, right? How did you just kind of fall in love with? If you are in love with it, I'm assuming fall in love with that aspect of development for yourself, and then talk about. We'll start from right there. How did you fall in love with that? Like, what led you in that direction?
Sure. I think the main motivation for me is I wanted to find something that allowed me to kind of be flexible with my location.
Mm-hmm.
In college, every semester I changed where I lived. So I wasn't the one that like, oh, I stayed in the same place. I was like someplace for this semester, summer, a different place. Like I liked moving around and I liked having different experiences. So I wanted something that gave me a lot of flexibility of where I was living and whatnot. And so that was the big motivation. When I moved to Vegas, we did wood refinishing was the company, and they were trying to grow a new office there. So I was in the beginning just doing cold calls to like these big casinos, the facility managers and stuff, trying to get, us to do work on woodwork and stuff. But I was getting really sick of the cold call. And I was like, I don't like the fact that every day I think, okay, who am I going to go contact? And I don't want to keep doing these cold calls. I'm sick of cold calls. And so I wanted to leverage my effort. And I was like, I wish like with marketing, it'd be nice if I could build a presence and then people are contacting me. I don't want to be chasing people all the time. So I started kind of doing initial experimentation, and it was very basic. It was just, in the beginning, it was just like, let's just put a Yelp listing and you put us in the yellow pages, and, let's just Google what are people looking for wood refinishing and see what are listed and make sure we're listed on the same pages and stuff like that. But it did start generating some leads, and it actually led to business. And that was like really exciting to me. And there were some leads that we were getting for homeowners, and we focused on commercial. We didn't want to do homeowners. But then I was able to take those leads and give them to a guy that he basically had interviewed with us, but we didn't hire him, but he had his own kind of competing company. And I said, hey, you do this, you focus on homeowners and we don't want these leads. So can I just give these leads to you? And then if it turns in work, you like send us a check or something. He's like, yeah, sure. So then he started sending us checks occasionally, and it was not like any money, not very much money, maybe $100, every few months. But I was very excited about it. I was like, oh my gosh, that's so cool that like, there's this idea that I had, and then I created a new revenue stream for the company. Yeah, it's not big money at all, but it was like, just that was very exciting to me. And I was like, that is super cool. So that really got me excited and wanting to like learn and grow. And like, I don't like the cold call. I don't want a cold call. I want people to contact me. So later when I was trying to contact people, that was kind of a lot of the motivation. I was like, I like the fact that I can do this from anywhere. I like the idea with, when you know how to market yourself, that, you don't have to chase people down and people just contact you. So that was really the motivation. So whether I kind of love SEO or not, I saw it as something that I was excited about the potential of it. And then link building specifically, I just saw that it was a good fit for my skills. And I just knew it was something that I could do good at. And I learned long-term, what motivates me most is just being able to give value and do things that that are a good fit for my skills. That's what's most exciting. Not necessarily like, well, I love the work so much. It's just like, well, I know I can do this well. And if I can do it well, I'll be happy with what I'm doing. So that's kind of how I got into what I'm doing right now.
Mm. I love it. Go ahead. The traveling part, man. I love when you say, "Hey, I want to pick something that I can be mobile. I can travel around. I can be around." It fits right in, like you said, it fits right into who you are this whole time. Like, I'm not a guy that's going to sit down in one place. You know, we're very shocked that you've been able to sit down in front of the screen with us for the last 20 minutes. You know, based on how much you told us you move around. You know, and we know you're probably itching, but you know, it's I love you able to find something that kind of fit who you were and able to scale it and kind of grow it to meet what your needs are, man. That a lot of people struggle for so long. I was talking to a young professional a couple of weeks ago, and he was saying similar. He said, "Rick, you know, I wish I can talk to young kids in college about you don't have to follow the typical pathways of, oh, you got to be this, you got to be this, you got to be this. You know, you can find those things that suit the lifestyle that you want to live, and let your lifestyle be your goal versus the profession shape your lifestyle for you, right? So I love that you said that. Love it. And Marlon, you would say something.
Yeah, the crazy thing. So now, when you decide that you want to be a nomad, right? You have to have somebody, a partner. Your wife has to say, "Hey, that's the lifestyle that I want." Because you know, a lot of I've heard people say, "Oh, I can't. I won't." I had a job interview, but they asked me, "Am I willing to travel to Colorado, or am I willing to relocate?" And that was a deal breaker. There's no way I could leave my XXXX, whatever it is, because I just can't. And imagine me just picking up and go to Colorado. And a lot of people in America, don't travel. Well, now it's coming a little bit more, but a lot of people live on the same block, same area, same desk for 20, 30 years, and they don't ever see anything outside that radius. Now you found another person that's willing to travel with you. What countries did you guys go to?
Explore,
Some encounters, some crazy encounters, some countries you'd be like, I'll never go back again. But what kind of encounters did you have out there?
Well, I mean, part of the story of how I was able to find someone that wanted we'll start there because
Yes, sir.
she's unique in that sense. When I did a lot of these things in Las Vegas, you know, I worked in real estate and I worked at a startup company, and that company failed. And this is when I was at this moment, I was like, okay, I want to find some consultants to work with, and I want to move to the East Coast. I've never lived on the East Coast, and so all this happened at the same time. I decided to move to the East Coast. This is when I moved to the DC area, Virginia and DC. And I was trying to figure out, I was actually this idea that I first built this site, and then this guy started paying me for leads. And then later, after I left the company, I said, hey, I'll just build you your own site. And then I built him, and then he started sending me paying me a monthly fee for the site. And I was like, oh, that's so cool. Instead of taking a site that, a 5-page site you might sell for $500, I can take that site and I can sell the leads it generates. And then I can charge $150, $200 on a monthly basis forever. And I was like, that's cool. So that was kind of my idea, is I want to build that out. And that didn't work, but I moved to the East Coast, and that's when I kind of met an SEO consultant and started working together. So during this time is when I met my wife. She was actually an au pair. So if you know what an au pair is, it's a visa program. So she's from Brazil. She was in US at the time on a 1-year visa. She was a live-in nanny in the US. So we actually met through our church. She was on a Facebook group or something. And she was looking for people in our church, and we have these little Facebook groups for single people in our church. So
we know about it.
Yeah, she added me randomly on Facebook, and then we started talking. She lived in New York, I was in DC, and I was like, okay, well, I'm not going to chat with a random person I don't know. But I was like, oh, you haven't been to DC before? You should come check it out. So she came down, and then we kind of started dating. And so that, you know, a big reason that I think that it got me excited about her is a lot of girls that I talked to, they were kind of like, they're maybe like little, they didn't know what to do with kind of like my thoughts and my plans and the things that I wanted to do. And they're like, okay, well, you know, you're getting, you know, your late 20s, and you seem like you just want to travel around, and, you know, you don't have a house, you don't have a car, like, what are you kind of doing, you know? But her, you know, this is her first time out of her country, and she was excited about this living in the US thing. And she was also like very open-minded to, yeah, travel around the world. That sounds great. Like, that's what I'm just left my country, and this is cool. Like, I'd be open for more. So that was, you know, we really connected. I think, you know, her open-mindedness and the things that we both kind of wanted to do, we were very open about that. And so, yeah, that led into when we got married, her green card, her 1-year visa was expiring. And so we either had to stick in the US, apply for the green card, but when you do that, you're restricted for your travel.
Yeah.
You have to stay in the US while you're in. So we were just like, well, let's just leave. Like, I hadn't met her family, so let's just move to Brazil. You know, we can hang out there for a while. And so yeah, we did that. I learned Portuguese, and then we had a kid. And then when he was about 1, we were like, okay, let's go do the travel thing. And yeah, you just started a month at a time. Just, okay, you know, I think we started in Italy, living with like an Italian family. And like in the beginning, what we did was very like the most memorable things we did in the beginning, because the most memorable things are the least comfortable things. Like, you live with a family for a month. It's so cool. You eat every meal with them. Like the grandma that says the same thing every day really helps you improve your Italian, you know, and then we went and lived with the hippies in Madrid. It was an Airbnb rental, but it was renting a room with the hippies, and they like, and then we lived in a castle in Scotland. And again, we were living, it was like a workaway.info is a website where you find opportunities to like live and work. Yeah. So we did a lot of stuff.
I'm going to ask you where how you finding these places?
Yeah, that's what it is. There's these websites, workaway.info one, and you can basically, for 4 or 5 hours of work a day, they give you free housing and food accommodation. So it's like a great, but the cool thing about it, it's not just you get free accommodation, but it's the cultural aspect that you're not just like staying in a country, because we did that for a lot too. It's staying in a country at Airbnb. You're living with a local family, eating the local cuisine, like probably learning some of the language. It's like such a much more cultural immersive experience, and it's really cool. Like, those are some of my most memorable experiences were that when, like, you're living with people and you're having that experience. You know, that gets harder. Once it became like a sustainable lifestyle, like this was our life every month. We're living in a different country. It's like, okay, do we want to live with other people every single month of our lives? Like, maybe not. We did it for the first couple months, and it's like, you know, we got to do this in a sustainable way. So then we started being a little strict about how we were doing. Okay, like, we'll only live in apartments that have these specific requirements. It has to have a good kitchen that we can cook. It has to have a washer and dryer in the kitchen. Like, there's certain things. Okay, we can't just go for the cheap place that's like good enough, because we can't live in like, you know, hotels long term. We need like good places with certain requirements. So that's kind of what we did later, and that's kind of what we did more long term, was this every month, you know, or every 2 months or whatever, just going to different countries and just getting an apartment and just living there, like just normal, you know.
Wow. How's your son? How old's your son now?
He's now 7.
What's his outlook on traveling, or does he remember any of this?
Yeah, the thing is, when they're really young, you know, they don't.
Normal to it.
Yeah, and the thing.
Whatever you make the lifestyle, it becomes normal to them. Yeah.
Yeah. The thing is, him in particular, he was extremely outgoing. He never had a hard time talking to people. And like, I mean, if he was getting fussy on an airplane, I was like, okay, I just walk up and down the aisle until I see a kid, and I say, oh, look, there's a kid. And then he would just like start playing, and then they'd be playing in the aisle. And then I'm like, okay, problem solved. Like, not like some kids, they start to fuss and okay, I'll hold you. It's like, oh, let's
Yeah.
find a kid for him to play with so he'll calm down. So he was a very good traveler. But yeah, then after the fact we show him photos and stuff, and then you remind him or you tell him, and then he'll talk about these places. But sometimes he doesn't necessarily
Yeah.
remember everything. But yeah, it is interesting though that the kids are they're willing to play with everybody, regardless of understanding any sort of language. Like they just play. When they do that from young, every month in different places, just go to the park. If there's other little kids, they play. They don't need to understand anything. And that's really cool to see that.
You've been listening to the Success Journey Show. You can check us out on our social media on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. Also on our website, thesuccessjourneyshow.com. Enjoy the rest of the show.
Man. So as you guys, now I'm under the assumption that you guys don't travel quite as much. You're not going from place, every month, but still the flexibility in what you do. How do you satisfy that need of, still exploring to the extent of, getting around and visiting places, but also being able to, starting your company, building that company up. And people always talking about that work-life balance, right? It's hard enough doing it in one spot. Now, you still have that need though to be able to explore and get around and see other places. How do you balance that in your life now?
Yeah, I think for me in the beginning, it was like, okay, the goal was to work online so that I could work from anywhere. And so living and working, at the same time, being able to travel and still do work, like that was kind of the goal. And then after that was accomplished, it's like, okay, so what's the next goal? I guess the next goal was like, okay, now that we have freedom of location, it was like, now we'll try for freedom of time, try to build up a business to when then essentially, I don't necessarily have to work every day if I don't want to, which I like working every day, but but that was kind of the idea of like, okay, what's the next step is to maybe kind of grow beyond myself. And that was hard to do when you're traveling that frequently. It's very memorable and it's so cool, but there's also like, there's nothing, every little thing you have to figure out. You go to a new country and it's like, okay, let's get groceries. How do we do that? Where do we go? And then when you're at the grocery store, okay, how do we find things? Like you gotta ask people, hey, do you know where to find this? Like I'm looking for this thing, and that person doesn't speak very good English. And like, so like every basic thing like can be like a learning experience. So it's kind of hard to like, at least I found, to do too many things because you're always learning, always kind of having new experiences. So really, I think we decided after time to have another child, and so there's a gap of about 4.5 years between my first and our second. So we decided to go to Portugal, and we helped my wife's family immigrate to Portugal
from Brazil.
From Brazil, yeah, her mom and her siblings. So we helped them immigrate to Portugal. So we stayed there for a time, and then also we got pregnant and had a child. So we kind of stayed there for like a year. And this was kind of during the time where I was like, okay, I'm really gonna like focus, buckle down, and see if I can kind of grow beyond me. Because I think I had tried kind of hiring some people, and I was having a hard time like finding people I was happy with and kind of being able to grow beyond me. But during this time where I was more stationary, I started being more focused on the business. Okay, can I kind of grow this beyond, like more than just me? And we kind of stayed there for a while. And then, we had another child too. I don't remember exactly all the, details, but when the pandemic happened, we were in Portugal, and it was like, okay, no one's traveling anymore, and we have to go somewhere, and we have to be somewhere, then ideally somewhere we can stay legally, because we're there on a tourist visa. And so we're like, okay, I guess since we have to be in the US for a few years to get your green card, maybe now's the time we go to the US. like everyone's stuck anywhere, places anyway, so we can go there, so we decided to do that. We decided to go to the US, we visit family, and then we decided to stay and and get a green card, and now we're here. Now we've been here for a year. We have a couple more years to go, but that was really what it both kind of slowed us down. But also I started focusing on the business, and this is really kind of when my business started growing more. And because it was just more time and effort that I was able to focus on it and think about it, and it wasn't, I didn't have to plan travel every month, where we're going to live, and all those other things that were happening. So that was really kind of what helped me focus on the business and really kind of scale the business more than beyond just me.
So talk about what's so funny is I want to plug your business in here, but your life is so dynamic that we could just talk about your life. That could be just the whole essence of the story in terms of changing environments, learning how to work through different problems, and adapting to your environment, right? So how many different languages do you speak? Because you said Brazil. I know Brazil and is similar, right?
Yeah,
Portuguese?
so I spoke Spanish before I met my wife.
Okay.
And then Spanish and Portuguese are similar. They're different languages. When I went to Brazil, I still thought I knew some from Duolingo, and then got there and I was still like, it's still another language.
Yeah.
Understand anything. So it took time, but grammatically they're pretty similar. But yeah, so I speak mostly Spanish and Portuguese, and then I keep trying with the other languages that have Latin bases, like Italian and French, but I don't speak them very well.
So talk about your business now that you're more focused on your business. What if somebody was watching this and they're like, man, I love Aaron's story and I like what he does, and I like his I love his spirit. I want to know what his business does so I can tap in. What does your business do? How can you help somebody if they have a business? Say they have a podcast like us. How could you help a podcast with the SEOs and link and the link stuff?
Sure. So my agency is focused on a specific aspect of SEO. To explain it very succinctly and briefly, SEO is essentially made up of two parts. When you type something into Google, the first thing Google looks at to determine which websites to show you is content. Both the content of what you wrote, meaning, okay, what does this person want? Do they want a solution, an answer, a service? And then they go find web pages that have the content that matches that intent. And they try to make sure those things match up. This person asked for this, and let's get them what they're asking for. The next thing they look at is like authority and trust. And that's of all these hundreds or thousands of potential options we could give them, which of these websites do we trust the most? And trust is mostly measured by the number of backlinks going to a website. So, for example, a website like Wikipedia, when people when someone's writing a blog post and they reference something and they may add a link to like Wikipedia for more information, like kind of go to Wikipedia. And this is kind of like, in school when they say, cite your sources, you have bibliography that shows where you got the information. Well, in today's internet, that you kind of do that when you add a link. You're linking, you're referencing a website or something, and that's kind of like saying, oh, this is the authority. This is where I got my information, or check this out if you want to see what I'm referring to. And so the more backlinks a site has, that tends to be like, oh, they're more trusted. So a site like Wikipedia, New York Times, these are sites that have links from thousands or millions of different websites, meaning they're very respected and trusted. And so Google is going to recommend them when it's relevant. If you start a podcast like, today or anything, you start a business today and nobody knows about that business, no one has linked to it because nobody knows about it. So there's no trust, there's no authority, and so as you build and people start to learn about you, they may link to you. You may, like For example, like I come on a podcast, well, maybe they link to my business or something. So as you kind of get those backlinks from other websites linking to you, that makes you increases your trust and authority, so that Google will then is more likely to recommend your products, your services, or your content. So, generally speaking, the clients that I work with, they tend to recognize that this is an important aspect of their business. They're running an online business where like traffic from Google is really important. They get a lot of customers from this, or they know that this is a marketing channel that is important for the business that they want to go after. And backlinks is something they know is important to get there. So that's a bit kind of about what SEO is, and kind of our aspect is we focus specifically on link building. Where our services have the most impact is when someone is doing a good job of like their technical SEO, they're doing a good job with like producing content, they have lots of great content, and they maybe from the links aspect. And that's kind of where we step in and complement what they're already doing well.
Got it.
And go, Rick, because I know we have.
Yeah. How have you positioned yourself to show the value? Because a lot of people, they're like, oh man, do I really need that? I just need to have my website, and I'll do my podcast and, I'm good to go. Like, do I really need to start investing in this whole SEO stream and everything that goes with it, the backlinks and all that kind of stuff? Can I just share my link of my Devers, my store, all that stuff on my social media platforms, and do one of those ads on Instagram? Like, how do you come in and talk to people in that regards?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not in the position of like trying to ever convince somebody that SEO as a marketing channel is something they should do. For me, it's all about, okay, first let's evaluate your business and let's see, does this make sense for your business? And if it doesn't, I'm the first to tell people like, okay, like I don't know if SEO is necessarily the best approach for this business. You need something that's more of an immediate ROI or something, or, it's all about like, what's the goals of the business and what are they trying to accomplish? And, because you're going to be paying me and my team to build links for you. And so you have to like say, okay, if I'm spending this, and what am I going to gain from that? So yeah, if it's like a podcast and maybe, podcasts can be monetized, but, maybe there's not a ton of, monetization going on. And so you're like, well, yeah, how much are you going to be willing to invest into that if you're not going to get it back out? So yeah, things that you have to kind of evaluate the business and make sure that it makes
sense. So let's use another test subject. We have a lot of content. Just to put it out there, for next month is going to be 4 years, or next week's going to be 4 years that we're doing this podcast. Have a lot of content. If you go into Google right now and you type The Success Journey Show, you're going to see us pop up. You're going to see all this stuff, right? But how would you say if we came and said, I want to use your model to send traffic to our social media? Is that possible?
Yeah, I'll edit this out. Let me go see if I can get this baby to just I hear a baby in the background.
Okay. Hey, yeah. Take care of that.
You're hearing the baby, right?
No.
Oh, you're not hearing? Okay.
No.
I'm hearing baby screams, but if you're not hearing it, then
no,
not at all.
They lock it out pretty good here in Zoom. I'm telling you, they upgraded this Zoom because they noticed that a lot of people were doing meetings and everything, and this was the number one thing during the pandemic. So they wanted to use it. But could you traffic people from Google or whatever link that when they click on us, they automatically go back to our social media? Is there a connection?
Yeah. So paid ads on Google is, like with ads, you can do a lot of like, you just have to get them to click on this ad, and then that will take them to kind of wherever you want to take them. With SEO, generally, it's best. You need to have something that responds to what people are already searching for. So if someone is typing in, I want like a podcast about, I want to like top podcasts about business, online business, or something like that. Like, potentially, we could be relevant for that. So then maybe, okay, let's identify blog posts that have like they've compiled a list of top business top business podcasts, and then we can outreach and say, hey, I noticed you have this podcast, love to be considered for your list or something like that. So you may try to get on through outreach, because we do a lot of email outreach, to try to get on these lists or things to be recommended. But a lot of from an SEO perspective, it's all about like, what are people searching for, and what kind of content do I have that's like an answer to what they're searching for? Because you can have a ton of content, doesn't necessarily mean that content is always like, relevant to what people are searching for. And so for SEO to be a channel that is worth pursuing, you want to make sure that, okay, we have a ton of content and we can tell people are searching for it because we're getting traffic in all these ways or whatever. And so this is a channel that is important for us. It's not, and it doesn't have to be a channel. It's important for everybody. And yeah, like, social media marketing is different, in a lot of ways. And my wife is actually a social media influencer, or like our family is. It's in Portuguese, but so I have a lot of experience on the social media side as well. But in some ways, there's some crossover, but I consider them pretty separately. So I wouldn't normally think of, I'm going to get traffic and I'm going to try to send it to social, not from an SEO perspective, generally.
Gotcha.
I love that.
Yeah, as you were saying that, my mind just. Oh yeah, so I've been reading, and I've been hearing from a lot of guys. Maybe you can expound on it a little bit more if it is accurate. So I know SEO a lot of time in the past was connected to, when you talk about content, a lot of written content, right? I'm hearing that there's been a shift into video content as well, being able to link to SEO. Can you talk a little bit about that? I don't know much about it, but is it true, or how has video kind of helped in this SEO world?
Yeah, well, there's like YouTube, there is SEO specifically for YouTube. So if you have a YouTube channel, there are things that you can do in YouTube to best optimize your video, like from title and different things. But to get your content ranking in YouTube, a lot of it's based on their algorithm. And that's all about like, if you have a video that people click on and they watch for a long time, it's all about like how people engage with your video.
Engage with it. Mm-hmm.
That's how YouTube is going to decide whether your video is worth showing or not. And the better people engage with your content, the more they're going to show it to people, and the less they engage with it. So it's less about like backlinks or something and those kind of things. It's more about like, how are people engaging with your content, and the best creators, they're making the most engaging content that people watch for the longest, and that's why they always get recommended. So it's quite a bit different in that sense. And each platform has its own way of kind of deciding, what things that are going to suggest. But generally, most social media platforms, it's all about like, do people love your content, and do they engage with your content? And if so, like, the platforms will keep suggesting your content.
But the biggest problem I would see, right? And everything you're saying is accurate. Of course, you're the expert. I'm not. So it is accurate. But how do I get people to view my content? See, that's the nut that a lot of people want to crack. So I wanted people to engage with my content. How would I get it out there to have people engage with my content?
Sure. So what content are we talking about? Because
say videos on YouTube. I want somebody to engage with my videos on YouTube. How do I get somebody to engage with my videos on YouTube? Because it might be the best content, they might like it, but they never see it because the algorithm will never show them, because I don't get engagements. So how does that work?
No, I'm not going to say I'm like a social media, expert, but I do like watching videos on certain experts, and I'm sure you guys have heard of Mr. Beast. One thing he says, he's like the biggest YouTuber. One thing that he says I really liked, he's like, a lot of people, they like to blame the algorithm
Mm.
for their content not doing well. He's like, but if instead of saying, oh, the algorithm didn't like my video, anytime you're going to say algorithm, just change that to audience and say, oh, my audience didn't like the content. So he's like, if your content isn't doing well, it's because you're making content your audience doesn't like, or they're not engaging with it. So you have to
Mm.
stop passing the buck onto the algorithm and blaming it for you not having content that's doing well, and just accept responsibility that my content isn't doing well.
People want to see it.
Content, yeah, you gotta
Yeah.
do better with your content.
Hey,
You know, it's
Mr.
so
B.
funny. I was talking to someone about that today, because we were talking about marketing budget and how people have this huge marketing budget and just blowing a whole bunch of money in marketing. And they feel it's like, all right, the more money I spend in marketing, the more people will want to buy it because they can see it. But they a lot of times don't ask themselves the questions, well, maybe people are seeing it, but they just don't want to buy it, right? And it's like just going straight to your point. It's like it's not the algorithm, it's the audience, or
Yeah.
it's your product, or it's whatever it may be that you're putting out there just is not hitting, and you need to go back to the drawing board. You know, so I like how you said that. That was good.
Yeah.
That was good.
You know who Mr. Beast is, Rick?
No, I don't know, Mr. Beast.
He turned down $1 billion. That's the guy, right?
Oh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they offered him $1 billion. He's like, so I saw somebody break down. I don't know if you ever watched Value Table. With
I watched some different channels breaking down Mr. Beast.
yeah, Mr. Beast. So tell me if this is. So he said the Super Bowl gets about how much? About 3 million people that view it, or a little bit over 3 million people that view it. So based off of
Probably more than that.
probably more than that, but the base off of how many people watch the Super Bowl, that's how much you pay for ads.
Mm-hmm.
He's saying Mr. Beast far surpassed the Super Bowl. So he can charge one person $3 million for one ad that he does. So as he say, they're saying that he's probably worth, if he was doing it, $10 billion or more. One of his videos is like what, 50, like he has one video that's like his biggest video is like 50 million, something 50 million views or some craziness like that. And then he don't only get views, there's views that he get in the United States, and then there's views that he also get in other countries because he does stuff in other countries, just like you're saying how your wife is an influencer in Portuguese. He does that too in other different languages.
He's taken his channel and then he has these channels in the other language, and then they translate and everything. So yeah, he's yeah, it's really interesting, his business. I mean, he treats it like a tech startup. He takes all the money and pumps it right back in month after month, and it's really interesting what he's done. I don't have ambitions to kind of do what he's doing, but
it's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy that you can see how the times are shifting when somebody's like, you know, if you advertise with me, it'll be better you advertise with me than the Super Bowl. that is bananas. And some people paying $3 million for one 30-second commercial, 15-second, 30 commercial in the Super Bowl. So if this guy, go ahead.
The thing with Mr. Beast is like his production quality is so high that if you watch his videos, you're like, oh, there's no way I could ever like do anything even remotely what he's doing. So like, you know, the history of like being a social media influencer, it's always been, you see people and you're like, oh, I can do that. Like I can talk about what I ate for lunch and, you know, show my day, and, you know, I can do that.
Yeah.
Harder to relate to his content. Like, oh, I can, like, oh, there's no way I can make anything like what he's doing.
$1 billion deal turned down. I was like, wow.
Man. Well, hey, Aaron, man, this has been great. And one question I want to ask you before we wrap it up is, what is a question we ask a lot of our guests. I'm going to ask you if you can go back to, you know, I'm trying to think that day you realized biology was going to derail you from your dreams in pre-med. and knowing what you know now, that you had 1 minute to sit down with yourself after you withdrew from that course of action. What would you share with yourself in that 60 seconds?
Well, it would have been when I got a 70% on my first biology test and I cried.
Oh man, that's all. That's it. You got a 70. I would have been happy.
I'd have been happy.
I, I cared a lot about my grades. Yeah, but I mean, to be honest, I would just say, your grades, they really they're not gonna matter much. And you shouldn't be worried about them near as what you are. I mean, it's good if you want to keep your academic scholarships, you do gotta care, but don't stress about it and just recognize that there's a lot of options for what you do, and grades is one path, but there's a lot of other paths. So
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
stress.
yeah. I'm glad you said that. It was later in my career. I was probably like 10 years in when the aspiration for everyone was like, get your professional engineering license, get your professional engineering license, right? It was one of my mentors. He said to me, he said, Rick, it's just a test. It's like, yeah, I know that. He was like, no, but Rick, it's really just a test. Don't pass, just take it again. And that simple, I guess the calm demeanor that he had about it is like, hey, and like you're saying, getting that perspective from someone that has been through it, right? It eases your anxiety and your frustration in the moment because you can't see past that point, right? So that's why we like to ask that question, because it really gives us an opportunity now to talk to someone that may be in that situation today that we were in years ago, and just give them that higher level perspective
Sure.
on their life. So I
Yeah,
really appreciate that.
and it applies more to just school, because I can think of so many
Absolutely.
different moments in the place where like you're comparing yourself to other people and you're like, oh, they're getting there faster, or they're at this age they're doing this, or whatever it is, and that can kind of rob you of just saying like, just try to, not focus on that. Don't stress. Like, you're trying things, you're learning, you're going to grow, and you're going to do things in your own pace. And that's
Yeah.
okay. Like, your journey doesn't have to be similar to anybody else's. So just
Yeah.
like, at it and do it the way that feels comfortable to you. It's not going to be the same
Yeah.
to other people. Like, I care a lot about quality, and I've scaled much slower than a lot of people. A lot of people, they like to take things on and figure it out. And I like to make sure that I want to know that it's going to be done right before I take it on, So
Yeah. Yeah.
things, if you compare yourself to others, you can get yourself frustrated and feel like you're not doing what you want or getting there fast enough. But it's just don't stress and realize everyone has to do it their way and do it in a unique way.
Love it. Love it. Well, Aaron, thank you so much. And all of our travelers and listeners around the world.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I know I got you. Yep. Just want to thank you for tuning in. Before we do sign off, Aaron, just let everyone know where they can connect with you at to get more information about what your organization, if they need your support, whatever it may be around the SEO space and the area that you focus on. Can you share that with them now?
Sure. Yeah. So my agency, it's linkpitch.io. So you can reach out to me there. I also do have a podcast called Let's Talk Link Building. So if you're interested in link building and the in and outs of how people are doing it, you can find me wherever and tune in there as well.
Love it, love it, love it. And just because we're family people, if you want to throw out your wife says you're an influencer, throw her out there.
No, it's right. It's in Portuguese, and
Okay. Got you. No, man.
It's actually funny. I like to, going around it. I kind of like the, I'm kind of well known in this other language, but none of my neighbors necessarily have to even know that I'm like.
Oh wow! So she's real big into Portuguese.
That's what he was saying. Yeah.
But then
She's not huge, but I mean, we have like 500,000 on Facebook, so that's a pretty good size.
yes,
And then,
sir.
like
Yeah, it
100, and like the 150,000 on some of the other platforms. So she's a decent size. She's not like millions, but it's You know, we run into people we know like on trips and stuff on like random streets and stuff. So yeah,
No, I love it, man. Yeah, listen, it speaks volumes to the story of you guys getting together, having that same just mindset of saying, being willing to explore together, being willing now to build together. You're building your organization, your company, building a social media platform. That's a job. Like that's not, people look at it, people think that anyone can get on social media and get 1,000 followers. It's not that easy, right? So it's real focus, real job to be doing that. Speaks volume to you guys' dynamics, and I wish you guys all the success in the world. But again, thank you so much for joining us, and all of our listeners and travelers around the world want to thank you for tuning in another week of the Success Journey Show. We'll see everyone next week at the same place at the same time. Everyone have a good one. Peace.
One love.
You've been listening to The Success Journey Show, where your dreams, drive, determination, and diligence are the foundation to success. For more information, check out thesuccessjourneyshow.com. The Journey Squad is here helping you to your destination.